Locho sampo pa gyu trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yarngonda ege drolor zampe ze parche palde lame shabla solvade Omo a guru vajradar Sumatimo nishasane karma Uta vardanya shribar Varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo nishasane karma Uta vardanya shribar Varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo nishasane karma Uta vardanya shribar Varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Pakyuke kudang dagi Lo pakyuke sondang dagi Pakyuke todan dagi Ye teyerme Chikto jingelo Pakyuke kudang dhagilu Pakyuke sundan daginga Pakyuke tudang dhagi Teyerme chikto jingilo Makyuke kudang dhagilu Makyuke sunda daginga Makyuke tudang dagi Teyerme chikto jingilo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamunye Swaha Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kepsuchi Dage Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparsho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchra Sange Druparish Sange Chodan Sogi Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sange Druparasho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, this morning we have seen that we have divided the practice into 7 different steps, no? And so we have seen we have the preliminaries. Then after the preliminaries, we have the invocation of the merit field. After that, we have the 7 limb prayers. Then after that, we have the requesting the blessings, meditation on the gradual path to enlightenment, the absorption of the merit field, and then finally we have the final dedications, okay? So now we go to the first one and we'll go into details on the different aspects of the first one. So, the first one, which is the preliminary prayers, as we go through the text, we have the explanation done by Penchelo Sanchogi Gyaltsen, in which he divides it into taking refuge, generation of the bodhicitta, 4 limitless meditations. Then after that there is generation as the deity, purification of the place, and purification of the offerings. Okay? We can add one more in the middle of this, which is the generation of the motivation. Okay? So this is the very normal sequence that normally we will find in most of the practices, which is 1, taking refuge, 2, generation of the bodhicitta, 3, 4, limitless meditation, 4, generation of the motivation, 5, self-generation as the deity, 6, purification of the place, of the environment, 7, purification and transformation of the offerings. Okay? So this is the very, very common way of doing. But when we go to the actual text written by Kedrup Sangye Yeshe, the first part, one of the order here is changed, which is the order of the self-generation as the deity. Instead of being in number 5, it is in number 1. Okay? So we may ask, what is right and what is wrong? What is the right way of doing it? Actually, both of them are right. But they are for different moments of our own practice, which is, for those that are beginners, it's better to start by taking refuge and then generate oneself as the deity afterwards. When we are more advanced in our practice of Anuttara Yoga Tantra on the Vajrayana path, it's better to start first by generating ourselves as the deity, because we are supposed to be 24 hours as the deity. So you already start at the deity and you take refuge as the deity. But this is actually something quite to be first as the deity and then take refuge in that way. It's already quite a high level practice already, okay? So this is something not so easy to explain and to understand and to meditate in this way. That's why Paponka Rinpoche, he stated very clear that for beginners, which is most of us, at least me, we should start by reciting verse number 2 first. So we start with Rapkar Gesen Chimbongangile. And then, after verse number 6, we will recite verse number 1. Okay? So, this is also because in the beginning, when we take refuge, we need to recognize our own suffering, the cause of our suffering, wish to get out of suffering. And if we are beginners, we believe we make a big conflict between, am I a Buddha in this moment or am I taking refuge? We don't know how to fix the two things together, okay? This is because we are a beginner. We don't know how to put things together. But as we move along the path, we will learn how to put all of this together. But in the beginning, it becomes very difficult. So, That's why as beginners we put it afterwards, because if we read verse number 1, it says Dechengang le rangni lama ha kander salve kule weserzo chochu trobe nochu jinlape tabaranjan bashi yöndengi köbe keba pönsun tsokbar gör. Within great bliss, I manifest as a guru yidam. Within the state of great bliss, which means from the state of the union of great bliss and emptiness of clear light, I manifest myself as Guru Yidam, which means I manifest myself as the Guru inseparable of the Yidam. From my clear body, which doesn't mean it's clear like dark and clear, which means it's clear as the deity. From my body as being clear as the deity, profusions of light rays radiate forth to the 10 directions, blessing the environment and the beings therein. All becomes most perfectly arrayed with only excellent qualities, infinitely pure. So, as we see, the first verse is generating oneself as the deity and purifying the environment. Okay, that's the first verse. So, let's understand a little bit how actually these 7 steps of the preliminaries are organized through the verses of the Guru Puja, okay? So, we would go, the first step, as we said, the common step is to take refuge. And we have verse number 2 and verse number 3 is taking refuge. After that, we have verse number 4, that is basically the part of generating the bodhicitta and meditating on the 4 limitless. We do that in the moment of verse number 4. Then verse number 5 and verse number 6 is generating the motivation. Then verse number 1, generating oneself as the deity and blessing the environment, purifying the environment. Verse number 7 and 8 is blessing and transforming and blessing the offerings. Okay, purifying, transforming, and blessing the offerings. So, as we may see from that, we have here the 7 steps. Once again, taking refuge, 1. Generating the bodhicitta, 2. Meditating on the 4 limitless, 3. Generating the right motivation, 4. Generating oneself as the deity, 5. Purifying the environment, 6. Purifying the offerings, 7. Okay? So, verse number 2 and 3, we have generation of the taking refuge. Verse number 4, we have generation of the bodhicitta and the 4 limitless are inside there. Verse number 5 and 6, we have the generation of the motivation. Verse number 1, generation of ourselves as the deity and transformation and purification of the environment. And then we go verse number 7 and 8, purification and transformation of the offerings. Okay? So this is how it is structured. For each one of these parts, we have different recitation, different visualization, and a different state of consciousness that we need to generate. Okay? And this is a very, very, very important part of the practice. Okay? Even though it's the very beginning, it's very, very important. If we do that well, it's like the basis for the whole rest. Okay? So, that's why I like to give emphasis and time on this part of the practice, especially for us as beginners. Okay? Just one thing I didn't say before is that Papunka Rinpoche described very clear that for beginners we should recite verse number 1 after verse number 6. Then someone may ask, why are we doing differently? Because basically, we are following very much the tradition from Tashilumpo. In Tashilumpo, they recite verse number 1 in the place number 1, which means where we do commonly, we do like this. Then when you do by yourself at home, you can change. Okay? But normally when we do in an assembly, we keep doing first the taking of refuge, and then first we do the generation as the deity, and after we do taking of refuge. But sometimes you may see, for example, when monks may come, they always start from verse number 2. Okay? Actually, both of them are right. It's just a matter of following one tradition or another. Okay? So, in Tashilumpo, they follow in this way. Rinpoche here chose to follow in this way, so that's how we follow. But It's not that one is right and the other one is wrong. It's just two different emphases that are put, okay? From the 7 steps, each one of them have a specific thing to recite and have also a specific visualization and a state of consciousness to generate, okay? So we start with the first one, which is taking refuge, which in the Guru Puja is verse number 2 and verse number 3, okay? So, as we say, Rapkar gesin chembe ngangnile dagdang kanya magen semchenam tengne chisi chanchup nimpo par lama kuncho sumla kyapsu dro. Namo Gurubye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. So, this is what we recite. When we recite Namo Gurubye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, we recite that 3 times, normally. We can recite many more times also if we want, but normally we recite it 3 times. What is the meaning of the words that we say? Rapkar gesem chembe ngangnile. From the state of an exalted, virtuous mind, which is what we explained yesterday, that first we need to generate a mind that is not taken by attraction or aversion or anger or jealousy or anything like that, from a pure state of mind, from a state of an exalted, white, virtuous mind, I and all mother sentient beings, vast as space, from this moment until our enlightenment, go for refuge to the Gurus and to the 3 precious gems, the 3 jewels. So, what does that mean? At this moment, actually, the focus is in ourself, but we visualize the other sentient beings taking refuge with us together. But in order to understand this well, the meaning of this verse well, we need to understand what is taking refuge, first of all. What are the 3 jewels? And what is enlightenment, really? No? So let's start by the meaning of taking refuge. Taking refuge, the word itself already says a lot. It means I am in a situation of difficulty, and there is something that can help me out of it. For example, if I am out in the cold, and I'm really feeling cold, and I go and there is a warm place, a warm house where I can enter in, I take refuge in that warm house. Why? It's my refuge. Because outside is cold, and I don't want to be in the cold. That's why I take refuge. If I am really enjoying the cold, is the warm house my refuge? No. It becomes my refuge from the moment that I don't want to be there anymore. Okay? Similarly, if I am very thirsty, and I'm suffering a lot out of thirst, and there is water, and I understand that water can take away my thirst, I take refuge in water. I go to look for water, I drink it, I'm taking refuge in it. Okay? So every day, constantly, we take refuge. Every day. Many times a day we take refuge. The point is that I'm taking refuge from what? On what? That's the main point. No? So, I take refuge from hunger. Where do I take refuge? In my food. I take refuge from tiredness. Where? In the sleep. I take refuge from many things. Even sometimes, like we may feel guilty because of something. Let's say we don't like a person, we feel aversion, and we feel somehow guilty that we feel aversion. So we are not happy because we are feeling guilty. So what we do, we criticize that person together with someone else. We make some gossiping and criticize that person in order for the other person to say, yes, you are right, that person is so bad, so we feel more comfortable. So we take refuge in the gossiping. It's not the best place where to take refuge to, but still we do it. So, what I want to make clear here is that what it means to take refuge, independently on what and from what we take refuge. Every day we are constantly taking refuge. So it's nothing new on the idea to take refuge, okay? Since we're a little child, we're used to take refuge. When we feel hungry, we go to the breast of our mother for milk. We are taking refuge. Any moment, we are always taking refuge, every day. So, when we take refuge, the refuge in its own nature, it has 2 aspects to be really real refuge, which is originally called Jikpa and Tepa. which means fear and faith. Personally, I don't like very much these names. Also because in our Western languages, they come with a different meaning somehow. But let's explain what they mean. Let's say, for example, taking refuge in water. What do I have fear of? Thirst. I fear thirst. I don't want thirst. I don't want to be thirsty. So I fear to continue to be thirsty. I don't want to continue to be thirsty. So, where do I take refuge? In water. Why do I take refuge in water? Because I know that water exists, that water has qualities and has the function that can help me to eliminate thirst. Okay, can quench my thirst. So, basically what I do is that out of fear of thirst and faith on water, I take refuge in water. Okay? Out of fear of cold and trust in the warm house, I take refuge in the warm house. Out of fear of hunger and faith in food, I take refuge in my lunch. Okay, is it clear? When we mean by fear and by faith. So fear is not like this anxiety of fear. That's not what we mean by fear. Fear means to recognize that something is not good for us and not wanting that anymore. Faith is not blind faith. It means to believe in the existence and in the qualities and functions of something. Okay? So, when we say in the context of Dharma to go for refuge, what am I taking refuge of? That's the first thing to understand. I want to take refuge from what? From suffering and the causes of suffering. From samsara. I don't want any more to suffer. I am tired of it. I cannot do it anymore. Today one problem, tomorrow another problem, then today is this, tomorrow is that, and it's always constantly that. Normally we take refuge in many stupid things that is not working. We take refuge in our health, we take refuge in the pleasures of the body, we take refuge in the recognition of our image, we take refuge in the relationship with other people, we take refuge in so many things. But finally what happens whenever we're able to gain our object of refuge? It's not enough. So it means we are taking refuge in the wrong things. So, and we do that every day. So, when we say to go for refuge in the context of Buddhist practice, we take refuge from our suffering, from samsara. What is samsara? Samsara is not a place. Samsara is not a jail, let's say. If we make the example of the mala turning, no? I have here the mala that is turning, the movement of the mala, the place where the mala is turning, and I have a force that is the very small movement of my finger that makes the mala to move. Okay? I stop doing the movement of my finger, the mala stops. Okay? So the mala is turning. So if we compare this to samsara, the place where the mala is moving is where samsara is happening, which is this planet, this existence where we are. That's the place where it moves. The mala itself, it's ourselves. We that are turning in samsara. The way how it's turning, which means the movement itself, is the process of birth and is the process of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Okay? Sorry. It's the process of birth, aging, sickness, and death. This is the actual process of the turning. And then after that, there is the actual force that is making the movement, which is mental defilements, karma, and suffering. Okay? Can you just take this one moment? So, what happened is that, again, we have the mala turning. So we go the other way around. the movement is being done by a small force. That is our mental defilements, the actions that we do, karma, and the results of suffering. And one is making the other turn around. Because out of suffering, I react with mental defilements. Out of that, I do actions. That is karma. Karma brings suffering. Okay? How does this movement manifest? Manifest as the mala is moving. What is the movement of the mala? Is birth, aging, sickness, and death. 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 And like this, we can go on and on and on and on. Who is the one moving? We are. We sentient beings. Where are we moving in this existence where we are? Okay, so what is samsara? It's not the place where we move. I can change the malaying and I can make it turn in many different places. It's going to be the same thing. What's the only way to stop it? Stop the little movement that I was doing with my finger. Where is that movement? That's called the actual circle, the actual cycle of samsara. That is the cycle of mental defilements, actions, which is karma, and suffering. So mental defilements brings karma, karma brings suffering. Suffering brings mental defilements. And like this we go on and on and on and on. So we need to cut this by basically cutting our mental defilements, which is ignorance in the root. Okay? So, when we take refuge, we recognize that we don't want to be anymore in samsara. It's too difficult, it's too hard. One moment is good, the other moment maybe we have one rebirth that is quite okay. Then the next rebirth we don't know how it's going to be. Then the next one also we don't know. It's too much. So I simply want to get completely out of samsara. I don't want by any means anymore to be in the cycle of samsara, which is this inner cycle. I can be reborn anywhere. I'm not going to go out of samsara if I don't eliminate my suffering, my ignorance. I can be even reborn in the Pure Land together with Buddha Maitreya. It's going to be wonderful for sure. It's a very good opportunity for me to eliminate my ignorance and so on, but I'm still going to be in samsara. Because I still have ignorance and so on and so on. So, when we take refuge, we look upon ourselves. And we say, I don't want anymore to be in this situation, really. I'm too tired of it. But can I get out only by myself? No. If I could, would I have already done it? But I don't know how. I really don't know. I am blind with ignorance. So now comes the three jewels, which is Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And the Guru that is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Buddha is the one that shows me the path. So I take refuge in the Buddha to show me the path. You who have already done this path, who know it so clear and well, please help me. I take refuge in the Dharma. That is the actual path to follow. I take refuge in the Sangha. That is the spiritual company during my path. And within this process, it is called the three precious gems, or the three jewels. In Tibetan, it's called Kun Chok. Kun means rare. Chok means excellent. The most excellent within everything that is rare. Okay, that is translated as jewel. But actually, the real word is not jewel. Jewel in Tibetan is norbu. Okay? The real word in Tibetan is kun chok, which means the most. Chok means excellent. Kun means rare. So it's the most excellent from the most rare. Excellent and rare. So what is so excellent and rare? The one that shows me the path, the actual path to follow, and the spiritual company during my path. And the Guru as the embodiment, as the connection, the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And I take refuge until enlightenment, which means until I do not eliminate completely all mental defilements, and I do not develop my qualities to their maximum potential, I'm going to take refuge. Please help me. once I am same as you don't need to help me anymore. We become one and inseparable. We are of the same nature. But until I don't become exactly like you, please help me. Please show me the path. When I know the path by myself, okay, we can go together. But until that moment, I need your help. Okay? So, this is what we say in these verses. And as we recite the visualization that we do, we have just finished the part in which we have meditated on our own breath. So we bring our mind to a state of calm and balance. Then within that state, in front of us, we visualize Guru Buddha. Guru Buddha is in the appearance of Buddha Shakyamuni, just as we have represented here behind me. Okay? And there are many ways actually how to make the visualization of the refuge field. I'm explaining now the most simple one. There are some very, very complex one, okay? But I think we don't need to go through that right now. We can just go to the simple one, which is the one that personally I prefer the most. So, we visualize in front of us Guru Buddha in the appearance as Buddha Shakyamuni, inseparable of our gurus and of all Buddhas. He's seated on a throne, which is held by 8 lions, with a lotus flower, a sun, and a moon cushion. Above this is Guru Buddha in the appearance of Buddha Shakyamuni, cross-legged, with the monastic robes, the right hand touching the earth, the left hand in the mudra of meditation, holding a vase full of nectar. He is smiling at us, okay, beautiful smile, with the appearance as Buddha Shakyamuni. And his body is golden in color. As we visualize Buddha, Buddha is the embodiment of all the qualities of all holy beings. As then we look upon ourselves as we do the visualization, and we concentrate in a moment after we visualize Guru Buddha in front of us. We concentrate on ourselves, and then we say, I don't want anymore. We look at our anger, miserliness, ignorance, negative karma, and we say, I don't want this anymore. I really don't want anymore. So please, Guru Buddha, help me. And then we can also visualize other sentient beings around us. They are asking for refuge together in the same time. Okay? But we concentrate mostly at ourselves at this moment. Then, as we make the request, we are reciting the first part, verse number 2, as we make the request. So we say, from the state of an exalted, white, virtuous mind, I and all other sentient beings, vast as space, from this moment up until our enlightenment, go for refuge to the gurus and the 3 precious gems. I take refuge. So in this moment, we take refuge. We ask for help to Guru Buddha. Then we imagine that he accepts with a smile. He accepts our request. And we feel so grateful, so happy. It's like we are in a place that is so cold. Then we start knocking in the door to open, And then suddenly they start opening the door and they say, you can come in. Oh, it comes such a great joy, Oh, I can be protected. So at that moment, what we do is that we visualize that from the 5 chakras of Guru Buddha, white, red, blue, yellow, and green light emanates, absorbing at our 5 chakras, at our crown, throat, heart, navel, and sacral chakra. The green light, the 5 colored lights are coming. The lights are of the nature of love, compassion, wisdom, healing. They are really like, not just like normal light. It's really like healing in a way. And then we feel protected, we feel loved. We feel this connection between us and Guru Buddha that becomes strong, deep, powerful. And as the light and nectar comes and absorbs into our 5 chakras, our negativities are purified, our qualities are revitalized, and we feel this strong connection between us and Guru Buddha that gets deeper and deeper, stronger and stronger. Okay? So this is what we do. The state of consciousness that we generate at that moment is that actually of love towards ourselves. What does it mean to love ourselves? It means to have the certainty to cultivate what is good for us and to abandon what is bad for us. It's like, I'm not going to keep anymore anything that is harmful to myself, and I'm not going to avoid anymore accumulating what is positive to myself. So to have this determination to cultivate what is good, to abandon what is bad for us. And in this moment, we wish for us a state of happiness, which is not like just to be healthy, beautiful, rich, and powerful. No, what I want is something much, much deeper than that. What I want actually is to be constantly in a state of peace, of joy, of balance, of equanimity. I want that for myself. That's what I mostly want. So I go for refuge. And in this moment, it's like really loving ourselves, wanting the best for ourselves, and doing it. Okay? So it's really like doing the best for ourselves. So this moment is like developing love towards ourselves. It's also developing renunciation. The word renunciation also means definitive emergence, which means to have the certainty that we can get out of suffering. That's this moment. We generate the certainty, I can get out of suffering, so Guru Buddha, help me. Because it's possible. That's why I ask your help. Okay? It's like we are out in the cold, and we see that inside there is a place that is warm, and we know that we can get there. So we ask, please allow me in, please help me, please, more than allow me in. I know that I can get there, but I don't know really how to. Please show me the path. Can you send me a map? I will get there, but please can you show me how to go there? Can you give me the instructions? I will get there. So, it's when we believe that we can get out of suffering. It's also renunciation in the sense to renounce suffering and the causes of suffering. So the state of consciousness that we develop at this moment is a state of love towards ourselves. Okay? So, this is the moment, this is what we do as we do verse number 2 and verse number 3. Which is the very beginning of the practice. Okay? Now, in this way, we conclude the part of taking refuge. Okay? After we have taken refuge, we go to the next part, which is generation of the bodhicitta and the 4 limitless meditation. The generation of bodhicitta and the 4 limitless meditations are within verse number 4. Okay? So, within verse number 4, what we do is that as we say, Ma simchen kungi tungi chir dani lama har gyurne, simchen tamche lama lai koban chola kopar cha. As we say in English, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I transform myself into Guru-idam, and thus shall I lead all sentient beings to a Guru-idam's supreme enlightenment. So first of all, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, what is their sake? What is the benefit? It's for the enlightenment. So in order for all sentient beings to get out of the cycle of suffering, to get out of samsara, to reach the final state of enlightenment. So all sentient beings, who are all sentient beings? Each and every one, there is no exception. It's the people that we relate every day, it's our friends, our enemies, it's everyone. That's all mother sentient beings. It's not like, oh, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes with exception of this, that, and that other person. That's not working, really. Okay? It's completely the other way around. I dedicate for everyone that I know, and by that I multiply it to all those that I don't know. Okay? Not the other way around. So, in this moment, as we do this dedication, we have this wish to develop our qualities for the benefit of all sentient beings. So we want to reach enlightenment. As we say in the text, I transform myself into Guru-idam, which means I will develop my qualities to their maximum potentials. I want to reach enlightenment in order to help all sentient beings. And once I have reached enlightenment, I will take every sentient being the same state of enlightenment. Okay? So, to understand better the practice here, the most important part is the visualization, and it's the most complex part also. So the visualization that we do here is the following. After we have taken refuge, and we felt this state of well-being, we start looking around us and concentrating in other sentient beings. So on our right side is our father, on our left side our mother. Actually, there are many different ways of how to visualize this, okay? I will tell the way that I most like, and I think for me it's very, effective, but there are different ways to do it also. So personally, what I do is I visualize on my right side my father, on the left side my mother. It doesn't matter if they are still alive or not. In my case, they are alive, but it doesn't matter really if they are still alive or not. We visualize on our sides our father and our mother. Together with them, we visualize all the people that we love. Our friends, family, lovers, it doesn't matter. Everyone that we like, we visualize on our sides. Okay? Behind us, we visualize all those to whom we are indifferent. All that many sentient beings that we really don't know them. It doesn't make much difference if they are not our friends or our enemies. We simply don't know them. So what we do is that we put them behind. We are totally indifferent towards all of them. Okay? In front of us, we visualize all those to whom we have difficulties, whom we have aversion, so-called enemies. Okay? One time someone asked me, I have a difficulty. I don't know if to put on my side or in front of me. Based on category, it should be by my side, but based on feeling, I feel like putting it in my front of me. If the feeling is in front, it should go in front. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's father, mother, son, daughter, or whatever. Normally we would say, okay, father and mother we like, but it can happen differently also, okay? So who would we visualize in front of us? Anyone to whom we have aversion, hatred, that person that when we see it, something they are not so comfortable. This we visualize in front of us. Okay? Mostly people that we have aversion, that it can also be related to fear also. But it's mostly like to whom we have aversion, people that we don't like. That they are not nice to us and we are not nice to them, and there is this aversion, okay? So, people to whom we don't have a good feeling, okay? And we put them in front of us. If we don't have anyone, better. Then we leave no one in front of us. So above is Guru Buddha, below is the people that we don't like, just in front of us. Then what will happen is that we start, first of all, to observe them. By starting to observe those on our sides. It's like looking in their eyes. First of all, is being conscious of their presence. Like sometimes we are on the street and there are people around us and we are not conscious really of the presence of other people. Or we are in the airport, or we are in the subway, or we are anywhere, or in the Dharma center. And there we have people around us and we simply are not really conscious about the people around us. We're not really conscious of who is there. It's just whatever, So we generate a sort of indifference also very often. So in this moment, we take away our indifference and we start to be conscious of those around us. We look at them without judging. We simply look at them. And there they are around us. And then we start to observe their suffering. We start to see that they really suffer. Each one in their way. We start with the people that we love, the people on our sides. And we start to see one is sad, the other one is angry, the other one has insatisfaction, one has physical suffering, the other one is in mental suffering. Each one has their own different type of suffering. But everyone is suffering. No exception. Some may be manifesting a moment of joy, but they also have anger, jealousy, envy, ignorance. They are all in the cycle of suffering. So we recognize and we see that each and every one of them wants to be free from suffering without any exception, exactly in the same way. And each and every one of them want to be happy. And most of all of them wishes to get out of suffering. And because of that, they do everything they do thinking is the best for their own happiness, guided although by their own ignorance. So what we do is that we simply observe them. And we see finally that there is no difference between each one of them. They are all in the same situation. After that, once we have stated that, we start looking behind us. And we see that there is no difference between those behind and those on our sides. They are exactly in the same situation. Then we look in front of us, and we see that even those in front of us, actually there is no difference between them and us. What's the difference between those in front of us and those on our sides and those behind us? All of them suffer. They all want to be happy. They all wish to get out of suffering as soon as possible and do everything they do thinking is the best for that. So finally, what's the difference? No. And as we concentrate that there is no difference between those on our sides, behind, and in front, it becomes all the same. It's like somehow if we start turning around and then sides change and front and back change, it becomes all the same. You know? And then at this moment, we simply observe, and then we think about the importance of other sentient beings. And we can, for example, think about a verse, which I like so much. It's verse number 95 and 96 of the Shantideva's Bodhisattva Charyavatara 8th chapter of concentration. And the verses, I don't remember them exactly by heart, but they say something like that. In the moment that every sentient being wishes to be happy, just in the same way as I do, what is there so special about me that I care only for my happiness? In the moment that every sentient being wishes to be free from suffering, just in the same way as I do, what is there so important about me, so special about me, that I take care only of my suffering? In other words, why am I so special that my happiness and my suffering values more than your happiness and your suffering? If we make this question sincerely to us, we have no answer. That's the truth. At least I have tried to find an answer, I couldn't find it. Why am I so special? What do I have that is so special that my suffering is more important than yours? What do I have that is so special that my happiness is more important than yours? That specific question. The answer is nothing. There is nothing that I am more special than you. Because of that, my happiness has a more value than yours. So, when we get to that conclusion, when we get to that state, we make this question again and again. If anybody likes, can go to the Bodhisattva Charyavatara 8th chapter, verse 95 and 96 and look at it. It's much better than the way how I'm saying it. It's really beautiful the way how it is stated. And at that moment, what we do is that we start looking at other sentient beings around us, and there is no difference between them, and there is no reason why I should be only taking care of myself. So I generate this strong and deep intention. May each and every sentient being be free from suffering. May each and every one of them be constantly in a state of happiness, of satisfaction, of joy. And we wish from the deepest part of our heart. As we make this wish, we see that only as we don't have the capabilities, we don't have the means to help everyone. So what do we do then? We take refuge in our own potential of enlightenment. I take refuge in the Buddha that I one day will become, in my own potential of enlightenment. I take refuge in the Dharma that one day I will develop. I take refuge in my own daily spiritual practice. I take refuge in the Sangha that one day I will become, which means in my own ability to help others. I take refuge in the inseparable state as being Guru Buddha. So, in my own potential of enlightenment. So it is called the refuge of the result, or the resultant refuge. So as we take refuge in this way, and we say in the verse, I transform myself into Guru Yidam, we visualize that from Guru Buddha in front of us comes an emanation, similar to the fact when we have one candle coming from another candle. If I have one candle and then I light another candle from it, Actually, the first candle does not get smaller, and the second candle is as strong as the first one. Similar to that, there is Guru Buddha in front of us, and then one emanation from Guru Buddha comes towards us, enters through our crown, descends from our central channel, and joyfully sits in our heart in an 8-petaled lotus with a sun and a moon cushion. And as Guru Buddha sits in our heart, we imagine that our mind expands. Our body, speech, and mind becomes inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of Guru Buddha. Our mind expands to infinite space. We feel infinite love, compassion, wisdom. It's like bringing the result into the path. And at that moment, from our heart, infinite emanations of Buddhas, of light, nectar, emanates in all the directions, going to the heart of every sentient being around us and purifying their suffering, eliminating each and every suffering of every sentient being, guiding them on the path to enlightenment. And as it guides every sentient being on the path to enlightenment, and they reach the state of Buddhahood, in this moment we meditate on the 4 limitless meditations. So first of all, we meditate on love, as we wish every sentient being to be in the state of happiness. We meditate on compassion, as we wish every sentient being to be free from suffering. Actually, first compassion, as we wish every sentient being to be free from suffering. Then we give them the state of well-being, so we meditate on love, as we wish them to be happy. Then after that, we meditate on joy, which means we rejoice deeply of their state of happiness and well-being. And the equanimity, as there is no more attraction and aversion between any one of them, and there is pure harmony between each and every one of them. And for us, we don't make any more difference between one or the other. Okay? So in this moment, we are actually not reciting the 4 limitless meditations, but we are meditating on it. As we finish it, all sentient beings around us have reached the state of Buddhahood, pure state. We can imagine that they all reach a state of well-being, of joy, of satisfaction, of peace. And then the emanations come back and reabsorb back into our heart. Okay? So from our heart, inseparable of the heart of Guru Buddha, all the emanations went to all sentient beings. And after bringing them to the state of Buddhahood, they come back and reabsorb into our heart. So as we say here, I transform myself into Guru Idam, and thus I shall lead all sentient beings to a Guru Idam supreme enlightenment. That's what we do in visualization. At this moment, the state of consciousness that we generate mostly is the state of love and compassion towards others. We generate this strong wish that may every sentient being be free from suffering. So that's on what we mostly concentrate, in the state of love and compassion towards all sentient beings. So during Refuge, we developed love towards ourselves. Here, we develop love towards others as we do the taking of refuge. That's why also, normally when we recite these verses, we recite them slowly. Why? Because it takes time to do all the visualization. No? So when we say, Ma sem chen kun ge ten ge che Dani Lama lar gyurne sem chen tam che Lama lai Kopang chola koparcha. As we recite them slowly, is to help us with the visualization, okay? Sure, if we're in a moment that we have more hurry and so on, we can also recite it quickly, you know? When I memorized the Guru Puja and I needed to recite every day, I was a small kid. So I was having fun also reciting it as quickly as I could. So the whole Guru Puja, my record was 5 minutes to do the whole Guru Puja, no? But this was just like, but when we really sit to practice, And depend, like for example, maybe we're in a puja and we need to recite so many things. We cannot do it so slowly every part, so we need to do a little bit faster. But what my advice is also, if we have more time, or if our time is not so long, we put more emphasis in the beginning, and then the rest we can do it a little bit faster also. Okay? But in our own personal practice, what we should do, in the beginning, we should put more emphasis in taking refuge, generating the bodhicitta, and these first parts. Once we have got familiarized with it, then we can recite faster and still do the whole visualization. Okay? But for that, we need to get used to it. We need to get familiarized with it. Okay? So, just the last part for today, because then we conclude one part that goes together, is the fact that once we have finished to generate the bodhicitta, we go to verse 5 and 6. And in verse 5 and 6, as we say, Masimchen tamche gitundu dagi tsedinila nyurwa dome sange lama lai kobangun tuche, Masimchen tamche dunga le dredechen sange gisala kobarcha, tei chirtu lamsamo lama lai, neljor nyamsu langwar giwo. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I shall quickly, in this very life, attain the state of a primordial Buddha Guru Yidam. Okay, next time when we will go to the teachings again, I will go more to the meaning of quickly and primordial Buddha. Each word has a specific meaning here, okay? But means, may I in this very lifetime reach the state of Buddhahood. That's the mainly thing, okay? I shall liberate all mother sentient beings from suffering and lead them to the great bliss of Buddhahood. To this end, I now shall practice the profound path of Guru Yidam Yoga. So, in order for me to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will now do the practice of Guru Yoga. So, in other words, is I want to reach enlightenment as quick as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings, and in order for that to happen, I will now do the practice of Guru Yoga. That's the part of regenerating the motivation. First, we generated the love towards ourselves by taking refuge. Then we generate love towards others by generating the bodhicitta. And now we take these two attitudes, these two states of minds, and within that we say, for that reason, I will now do the practice of Guru Yoga. Why I will do the whole rest of the practice? Because I want to reach enlightenment as quick as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings. And this practice is helping me to reach enlightenment. That's why I want to do it. Okay? So, as we do this, the visualization that we do is that we have in front of us Guru Buddha. Guru Buddha dissolves into light. I personally like to visualize a golden light. This is because Guru Buddha Shakyamuni, in the form of Buddha Shakyamuni, he has a golden body. So for me, it comes naturally visualizing in a golden light. So he dissolves into a golden light. The light comes towards me, enters through my forehead, through the central channel, fills the whole central channel. From the central channel, it expands through the body, and from the body, it expands through the whole universe. And the whole universe becomes filled up with light. There is nothing more than infinite light. Okay? In this moment, we meditate on the dissolution of all phenomena. It's like in the moment of death, okay? Can we do the more detailed visualization here? Yes, we could do it, but normally we go directly to the light. So we simply visualize the light coming. It's like the connection between Guru's, Buddha's essence and our essence touching together. So, as the light comes and enters through our central channel, it fills it up and expands through our body. From our body, it expands through the whole universe. We enter into the state there is nothing more than infinite light. There is nothing more than this infinite state of great bliss and emptiness. So there is nothing more than an infinite emptiness full of light, empty of inherent existence, inseparable of great bliss. And I am the union of such great bliss and emptiness. I am the Dharmakaya. Okay? From that state, we will go to verse number 1, in which we say, within great bliss, I manifest as Guru Yidam. So, then, from the union of great bliss and emptiness, then once again, the universe will manifest, and I will manifest myself as Guru Yidam. Okay, so this is, we go to the next lesson. When we go next teachings, we go into details about all of that. But we conclude this part of generating the body, taking refuge, generating the bodhicitta, and generating the motivation. But every part of the practice actually fits perfectly together, because it goes. Once we visualize that we dissolve into everything, dissolves into light, from the state of infinite emptiness, full of light, I generate myself as Guru Yidam and the whole environment around me, and so on. Okay? And then after we will go into details next time on what means by quickly, what we mean by primordial Buddha, and then we will explain the self-generation, and then after that the transformation of the place and the offerings, and then we have also the generation of the merit field and invocation, and so on. Okay? So as we can see, this first part is already quite a lot, no? So as we can see, the practice here, it's quite a lot to do at this first part of the practice. The first page of the Guru Puja is quite full. Huh? We are just up to verse number 6. Okay? And actually, afterwards is not, for example, if we take the prostrations, it's a very simple visualization for many verses. The offerings is also quite simple. It's like it's very condensed in this very beginning, and then after it's not so condensed. Okay? But that's why I think it's important for us to put emphasis in this beginning of the practice. That's also why when we recite the Guru Pujas with time, normally we have the first part that we recite very slowly, and then after we can go a little bit quicker also. Because we have much more to visualize and to do in this very beginning of the practice also. Okay? So, my advice is that everyone can practice these parts with more calm, so we can get familiarized with it. Then after it becomes easier and easier. Okay? Normally in the practice, it's said to be like this. In the beginning, we should practice in the middle way. Not too fast, not too slow, which means not making it too lengthy or not making it too short. So we do the visualization without going into too many details, but we do it. Next step, we go into every detail and we make it very long. Once we get familiarized in making it long, then we make it very short, but without losing the quality of the long one. Okay? That's the way of practicing. First middle, when we get familiarized to the middle way, then we go to the long. When we get familiarized to the long way of doing it, then we go to the short without losing the quality of the long. You know? It's said to be that the great masters of the Kadampa tradition, they could meditate on actually recalling all the gradual path to enlightenment in the time it was needed to go up to a horse, actually, no? When they were riding a horse, just the time to go from one foot to the other of the saddle, that was the time that they needed to meditate on the whole path to enlightenment, basically. Which means like to remember all the steps that they needed to go to enlightenment. Why? Because they meditated on it so much. Then it gets easy. Okay? So that's why, for example, taking refuge. First we need to do middle way. Then when we see that we are used, then we go deep. We do the recitation many times. We go into details of the visualization. We feel it. When we have done it so well, then we do it very short, very quick, without losing the quality. Then we do the same with generation of the bodhicitta. Then we do the same with the motivation. Then we do with generation ourselves as the deity. And like this we go on with the practice. Okay? So in this way we will train ourselves within it. So just one last thing. Otherwise after I forget this, maybe the next time. Why do we recite it in Tibetan? There are many reasons actually why we recite in Tibetan. In one way, sure, it's important for us to know the meaning. That's why we have a translation on the site. But the reason why I like reciting in Tibetan also, one of the first reasons is that personally, I do not have much trust in translation. It doesn't matter how good the translator may be. Tibetan language is a language that, for example, Sherab is doing our translation. He's very good in his translations, really doing very good quality translations. But still, when you take a word in Tibetan, very often, not all words, but very often, when you take a word in a prayer in Tibetan, and you put it into English or into Spanish or Portuguese or Italian, any of our Western languages, what happens is that there are different ways of reading that word in Tibetan and different interpretations that you can give. But when you make a translation, you must choose one interpretation. So, in the moment we make a translation, we are choosing one interpretation. And we are taking away the other possibilities. Okay? So, it's important for us to keep open to the original text. Also because it's written in such an excellent way in Tibetan, it has different ways of reading it, the meaning also. So, we need to keep that connection also. So the translation is just a reference of the meaning, but we need to remember that the original is from the Tibetan and it has different ways of reading. Another reason is that because the same words have been said in the same way, like in Tibetan, for a century. The same sound has been recited in this way, with a very good intention, by very great practitioners, for many, many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Hundreds of thousands of times these words have been recited in the same way, with very good intention and motivation. So they are blessed. So in the moment that we recite these words, having received specially a transmission from an uninterrupted lineage, we connect to the lineage directly. So they are blessed together as we recite them. Okay? And if we want even another reason, is the fact that when we do our practice, it's not something intellectual that we need to generate. We need to generate a feeling of love towards ourselves, love towards others, something that is more from the heart than from the head. Okay? And according to, let's say, modern neuroscience, I just say these things because many people help to have these explanations. We are not able to think conceptually and to feel at the same time. Even we see, if we're talking to someone about our emotions, we talk and then we stop and we feel, then we talk again, then we stop and we feel. We're not able to talk and feel at the same time. So we are able to sing and feel at the same time. Singing, it goes in a total different way in our mind. Okay? So, the example that I just did before, no? If we take, for instance, the same verse I was doing in the Italian, just see how do you feel it. Okay? If you say, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I shall quickly, in this very life, attain the state of a primordial Buddha Guru Yidam. Or if you say, Maya semchen tamche ge tundo dage tsede nila nyurwa deme sange lama laye koba ngunto che. The first one we feel in the head. The other one we feel in our heart, we feel in the body. There is a different way how it touches us. Okay? So, the melodies have a special power. The words that we recite with the same sound being recited for centuries and centuries have a special blessing and power also. That's why we do in this way. And as we recite them, even if we don't know the meaning of every word, if we do the visualization, as I have been explaining, it's perfect. We follow with the visualization, we understand the reason of what we do, and it's not an intellectual process, it's a much deeper process within our heart. Okay? So now, to conclude, we will just do once the taking of refuge and the generation of the bodhicitta together. Okay? Buddham, Sharanam, Gacchami. Dharmam, Sharanam, Gacchami. Sangam, Sharanam, Gacchami. Dutiyam, Buddham, Sharanam, Gacchami. Dutiyam, Dharmam, Sharanam, Gacchami. Dutiyam, Sangam, Sharanam, Gacchami. Tirtiyam, Buddham, Sharanam, Gacchami. Tirtiyam, Dharmam, Sharanam, gacchami. Tirtyam sangam sharanam gacchami. Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sangaya. Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sangaya. Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sangaya. Namo Triratnaya. Rabkar gesen chembo ngang nile dadang kanya magen sem chenam Teane jise chanchu nimpopa Lama concho sumla kyab sudro Namo Gurubhye Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sangaya Namo Gurubhye Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sangaya Namo Gurubhye Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sangaya Masem chen kungi tengi ichir Dani Lama largyurne Sem chen tam che Lama lai ko panchola ko parcha ma sem chen kungi tengi ichir Dani Lama largyurne Sem chen tam che Lama lai ko panchola Ma sem chen kungi tengi chir Dani Lama largyorne Sem chen tam chen Lama lai Kopang chola Köparcha Maya semchen tamche ge tundu dage tsede nila Nyurwa nyurwa deme sange lama lai kopa ngundu che Ma semchen tamche dunga ledre Dechen sange gi sala köpracha Te cirto lam samo lama lai nel giora nyamso langwar kiyo. From the union of great bliss and emptiness appears the universe, and we appear in a pure form as Guru Yidam. We make the final dedications. Chancho semcho rinpoche ma ke panam ke gyurchi ke pa nyampar me pa yang kong ne konto pelwar sho jetsu lame kotse rapten chi namkar chinle chochur ge pa dang Losan tempe dröme sasumgi Drove munsel tato ne gyurchi Nimo delet sendele Nime kuyan delek shin Nintsen takto delek pe Koncho sumgi jingi lob Koncho sumgi ngodrub sol Koncho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Trashidile.